Social Learners. This is another edition of Too Good for Drugs, and we are on lesson 6, which is the effects of alcohol use. Now let's refer back to lesson 5, where we talked about bonding and relationships. We talked about different ways that you can communicate with your friends and or the people around you have relationships with, and how important communication is. So today, we're going to talk about the effects of alcohol use and how you can be pressured into using alcohol. Now, alcohol is legal for adults 21 and older, and some people are drawn to alcohol by a positive expectation. Now, what is an expectation? Expectation is a strong belief something will happen, and some people have like these positive expectations about alcohol and what it can do for them. And some of these expectations can be becoming happy. They may think drinking alcohol is cool to do. Some people may feel mature when they drink alcohol. Some teenagers may think it may make them look more attractive. They may feel relaxed when they drink it, be more social, and be funny. But in all reality, alcohol does not make you more mature or attractive. Now, where do these people get these expectations from? Maybe ads on TV, movies, the adults or people they're around. Now, if people expected alcohol to be so glamorous, they might not consider the negative consequences alcohol can have on you, such as people who drink alcohol can be easily angered. They can act aggressively. They may wake up next morning and feel embarrassed of things they did the past night. They can make bad decisions. They can be very forgetful. They can get sick. Alcohol is very addictive. If you get behind the wheel of a car or you're an underage drinker, you can get arrested. And those are just some of the half the things that alcohol can do that people kind of ignore. Now, a lot of people and the people around them, they may think that if they have people around them that drink alcohol, they may think, hey, you know what, everybody drinks alcohol. So what percentage of students your age you think drink alcohol? In a 2019 study, they surveyed 8th graders all around America, and they asked 8th graders, how many 8th graders have drank in the past 30 days. And surprisingly, only 10% of 8th graders said they have used alcohol in the past 30 days, which means more than 90% of 8th graders do not use alcohol. So next time if you hear someone say, hey, everybody here is drinking, everybody drinks alcohol, you know the statistics. Now, alcohol affects every part of the brain that encounters, starting with the mouth and continuing to the small intestines, the heart, the brain, and finally the liver. Now, out of all those body systems, which one do you think is most impacted? The brain. Now, your brain has been growing and developing since you were still in the womb. And it continues to develop until your mid-20s. Now, in fact, your brain is developing right now. And in your teen years, it's critical in developmental stages of your brain. Now, newer, more powerful sections of your brain are growing and giving you greater capacity to learn and to make better judgment and decisions and better relate and connect with people. And with alcohol, that can affect all of that. Now, the presence of alcohol in your body systems inhibits the healthy growth and development of the brain. Now, so if you think it's tough to be a teen with a developing brain, imagine life as an adult with an underdeveloped brain due to alcohol. So I want everybody to turn on page 13, where it says the anatomy of the teenage brain. And we're going to go over the different sections of the brain, all right? Now, the first part of the brain we'll talk about is the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex controls executive functions including judgment, social control, decision-making, emotions, and senses. And alcohol can impair your ability to think clearly and lower inhibitions. Next part of the brain we'll talk about is hypothalamus. Now, that controls heart rate, And alcohol can slow down your heart rate. Next, we have the hippocampus. Now, hippocampus controls memory. Alcohol can cause memory loss and blackouts, and alcohol can impact your ability to learn. Next, we have the medulla oblongata, and with the medulla oblongata, it controls breathing and maintains body temperature. And alcohol depresses respiratory function, and binge drinking can shut down the medulla and lead to a coma. Next, we have the cerebellum. Now, the cerebellum coordinates movement, and alcohol can slow down your reflexes and cause you to lose your balance. Now, I want you to think of an activity that you like to do or a goal you're working toward. And I want you to look at the diagram above that we just went over, the parts of the brain. I want you to write down your activity or your goal and circle the parts of the brain that you would use on page 13. Then, at the bottom of page 13, I want you to write down 5 ways alcohol can affect that activity or that goal that you're trying to achieve. All right? Now, pressure to drink does not always come from someone saying, drink this or else. Often people pressure themselves to drink alcohol, believing it's something they need to enhance their social lives. This expectation often leaves the individual surprised by the reality of the negative outcomes and consequences of drinking alcohol. Now, we're going to do a little trivia. It's a little game called Party Smart. In this game, you and your friends attend a party, and alcohol is present at this party, and a few of the partygoers drink and face the consequences of their decision to drink. And I'm going to read a scenario, and I want you at home to try to figure out what's the consequences of alcohol, and I'm going to tell you at the end of the scenario what the consequences these kids went through with drinking alcohol. All right? Now, for the first one, we have Abigail Abbott. She expected alcohol to help her seem more likable. Instead, she ended up kissing her best friend's date, whom she secretly had a crush on. Now, the consequence of that was loss of self-control and judgment. Next, we have Augustus Arago. He expected alcohol to have more fun. And instead, no one wanted to play video games because he was so dazed and slow. Consequence, slow reaction time. Next, we have Boris Buck. Now, Boris Buck joined the drinking game expecting alcohol to bring out his true self. Instead, he embarrassed himself by throwing up on a girl he wanted to ask out. Consequence, nausea and vomiting. Next, we have Desmond Drake. Now, Desmond Drake expected alcohol would make him more entertaining on the dance floor. Instead, he couldn't keep a beat and tripped all over himself with looking like a fool. Consequence, loss of balance and coordination. Next, we have Ingrid Engelmeyer. She expected alcohol to make her look more attractive. Instead, her breath smelled so bad, the boys thought she was gross. Consequence, bad breath and body odor. Next, we have Matilda Morgan. Now, Matilda Morgan expected alcohol to boost her confidence. Instead, she was scared because she couldn't figure out where she was because of alcohol-induced short-term memory loss. Consequence, short-term memory loss. Next, we have Oliver Otis, expected alcohol to help him be more outgoing. Instead, he passed out. Consequence, loss of consciousness. Next, we have Rufus Radley, expected alcohol to make him look cool. Instead, he experienced blurred vision and ended up in the closet looking for the bathroom. Consequence, blurry vision. Next, we have Tallulah Tanner, expected alcohol to make her appear more intelligent. Instead, no one could even understand what she was saying when she tried to tell a story. Consequence, slurred speech. Last but not least, we have Velma Victor. Expected drinking alcohol would earn her respect. Instead, she started feeling bad, and when people tried to help, she started fighting with them. Consequence, aggression. Now, we talked about peer pressure strategies in our last lesson to help you get out of peer pressure situations. But pressure doesn't always come from other people. Did any of these characters in the game experience direct peer pressure to drink? No, they didn't. Each of these characters were pressured by what they thought they needed to do to fit in or be accepted. Now, because you know the truth about alcohol, you know to avoid alcohol. You knew to avoid alcohol at the party without any negative consequences. Drinking alcohol is not necessary to have a good time or to fit in. Remember that. So in our next lesson, we will talk about the influences teenagers use to use nicotine.